I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd really love to thank you people for allowing me to perform and giving me this opportunity. It's truly my pleasure. So today I'm actually just going to kind of start out with talking to you all a little bit before I get to the spoken word bit. Yes, my name is Jayden Baskin. I am the oldest of 4 children. I have 3 beautiful sisters, 12, 7, and 2. Their names respectively are Naya, Chloe, and Piper. My mother, let me explain it because this ties into the mental health. I have 2 mothers, one of which 3 years ago disappeared. The other one married my father when I was 8. She's been there since I was 3 weeks old. I've always called her mama. I love her just as though she is my mom, but for anyone who's been through this situation, you understand you can't exactly replace that biological link. That's something that's very important to a child. And as a kid, I didn't understand. So I'll tell you just very briefly how my story went. From the age of, from birth until right before I turned 6, I lived with my biological mother in Franklin, Indiana, which is south. I don't know if it's south of here, but I know it's south of where I live up in Indy. Okay, so it is south. Yeah, I lived in Franklin, Indiana. I was, according to the documents, when I lived with my mother, I was mentally stunted as a child. I wasn't very bright. I could only count to 16, but I was very proud of it, so that's okay. And then my mother abused substances, of course. We won't dive into that, but she did abuse. And it took my sister Naya to be born for them to actually kind of dive in and see what was going on within the house. And then we were taken from her. As a kid, I didn't understand this. I just was wondering why I was living with Dad now. And I lived with Dad and Mama, whom is my stepmother. Once again, I'm so grateful for her. I'm so grateful that she decided to step up and take that initiative to be the mother that I really needed. If she were here right now, I'd love to give her a hug and thank her because she means so much. But she's not the topic of this. It's actually my biological mother. So when this happened, she was asleep. So she didn't really know what was going on. And then there's visitation. So, of course, there's about a month where nothing happens. So I was trying to figure out what's going on, but I was like 6, so I didn't really care. I was just happy that I had food and I was watching TV whenever I felt like it. And then the first visit happened. And I remember it. It was kind of weird because I didn't go back with her. So, I mean, I'm sure you can imagine as a kid trying to figure out everything that's going on and you're wondering why this is happening. And then it just kind of gradually would happen every other month or so we would get to see her. And then she disappeared. When she disappeared, I was 6. I didn't really see her again until I was about 8. What had happened was she went to Africa and didn't tell anybody. This whole time, still living with Dad and Mom, just kind of getting used to everything. And as a kid, you would think, that you kind of figure out what's going on, but I didn't. I was a very emotional child. I cried all the time. I would cry if I fell. I cried if I got like an 80 on a test. But I cried about this a lot because I didn't understand. So, mentally, after living with Dad for a while, I went from being mentally stunted to being in the advanced classes. He helped with that. So did Mama. I'm very gifted when it comes to those things of growing quickly. But again, Mom wasn't in the picture, so I was dealing with that. And when she did come back, I saw her, and it was like a culture shock. It's great. It's like seeing Santa for the first time. It like you smile because you're like, I'm gonna get everything, and I did get everything I wanted, which was my mom. She was back, and then we started doing the every other weekend visits, where Mama or Dad had to be there so I could see her. And then when I turned 11, like on my birthday, we started being able to stay the night every other weekend. And then eventually that went into one day through the week. And this just became normal. From 11 to 13, I went every other weekend, stayed with Mom, and then on Wednesdays, I went and stayed with Mom. This is normal. This is fine. This is great. And then when I turned, like a little after I turned 13 in that summer, they found her again, abusing. So we got taken away, and this time I understood what was going on, and it just kind of sucked. Like, it was really bad, you know? And then I kind of got the news that I wasn't going to be able to go back. And I'm like, oh, well, like, I can still see her and stuff, right? They're like, yeah, that's fine. We just have to be there to make sure. I'm like, okay. And then she disappeared. The last message I got from her, she let me know she was staying with a friend in my neighborhood and that she was a couple streets over. And I was like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not going over there. I don't know what's happening. And that was it. And then since then, I am currently 16, about to turn 17. This past October marked 3 years I have not seen nor heard from my mother. As you can imagine, there are things that you deal with mentally during that situation. And it's very different for me because I still have a loving mother. Even though she didn't give birth to me, she's still there. And I have my dad. So, you know, it's not the stereotypical situation we see in a lot of our African American youth where the father's absent. Instead, it's the mother. So it's kind of hard to talk to people because they don't understand it. They understand a dad not being there because they have other father figures, but when your mom isn't there, you miss that nurturing. So this kind of caused me to go into a depressed state for a while that I didn't realize I was in because I'm an actor, so I just kind of took it out by getting into other characters. And then, like the late Heath Ledger, rest in peace, I got stuck in a character and I didn't even know it for a while. But that character was Jack Kelly from Newsies, who also doesn't have a mother or a father. So I was kind of stuck in this mindset where I didn't care. I was very cold towards a lot of people. And then, you know, I kind of had to take a second to realize what had happened. And, you know, I did the therapy and everything. And then we realized I had abandonment issues, very, very bad, which caused me to latch onto people very quickly. If I talk to you and I get to meet you, like if I talk to someone, like say a family friend comes over and stays for a week, I'll get attached within the first few days, and then when they leave, I'm about ready to cry because I'm like, oh, they're leaving me again. But it caused this. And my mental state, now I'm fine because I perform all the time, and it's an outlet for me, and it's amazing to talk to people. But my sister has anger issues, very, very severe, which cause her to kind of lash out. And, you know, these are mental issues that my generation has to deal with. And it's very sad that these are things we deal with. It's sad that this is my story. But I think the worst part is when I realized it's not just mine. It's the fact that there's a lot of youth that deal with this. There's a lot of people in other generations that deal with it, but the unique thing about mine is that we're not afraid to talk about it. You know, we're not afraid to tell people that, yeah, we live in a single unit home. I mean, thankfully I don't, but I have been there. You know, when I lived with my mom, it was a single unit household. You know, there's a lot of things that go into mental health, and I think it's personal story mostly. You know, you can be born with a chemical balance, but when it happens from an outside force, it's different. You know, it's not really a genetic thing that therefore becomes your character. You know, that's something that's going to affect you, and you have to learn how to cope with it in different ways. Because chemically, you can get medication, even though it doesn't always help. I have friends who've dealt with it, and they said it doesn't help them really. When it's a personal character strike, that's kind of like, how do you manage that? I know I managed it through this, and that's why I'm so thankful that the group gave me the opportunity to speak to everybody and to perform, because mental health is serious. We're seeing a lot of repercussions from this recently. At my school, we just did a play about school shootings, and we did some research, and mental health plays into that a lot. Mental health plays into suicides a lot, into homicides a lot. You know, mental health is something that we need to address. And my, you know, first, not like I'm the one who's dealing with it, but if I were to talk to someone, I'd say, you need to get to know people. You need to understand that person before you can just prescribe them a medication. That's how my mom got started, was through mental health and then medicine. You can't give everybody a pill and expect the same outcome. You know, that's like making a bunch of animals climb a tree. An elephant's not going to get up there very easily. But yeah, not to be so serious and, you know, depressing or anything. Like, I'm pretty jovial. You guys were great when I came in here. But yeah, that's my story. You know, I'm still dealing with it to this day. Every now and then, I might fall back and like not talk to anybody and not eat. But then I realize like, I can't be stuck there, and I figured talking to people is going to help. You know, they say talk is cheap, and it truly is. It's the actions that matter because actions speak louder than words. They speak far louder than words. So if you're talking to someone and you think something might be wrong, and if they're not like really giving you any verbal hints, watch. You know, take notes, let someone know. If you are an official and you're trained to do this, well, you got it. If you're not, let a trained official know. Once again, thank you just for listening to my story. I guess it's time for me to get to the fun part, which is the spoken word. The piece is titled Autumn Angels, which, funny enough, I kind of got the idea by watching leaves fall, which to me are autumn angels. I have this strange fixation with angels because there's a lot of things going on there that you can just toy with. If you enjoy writing, look into it. It's pretty cool. But I wrote this piece about mental health, and specifically about the mental health of my generation, because just like the leaves and the seasons, we come and go. And if you watch, we're very seasonal things, human beings. We're creatures of habit. I mean, when it's cold outside, everybody gets their coats. When it's hot outside, everybody's wearing shorts. If you just watch, we're very seasonal, and so is mental health. So the piece is titled Autumn Angels, and I'll deliver it. And then if anyone has any questions, if there's time for that, I would love to answer. And afterwards, hopefully I get to speak to some of you guys. Are you guys ready? All right. Autumn angels, falling, dancing while they're cascading, they're swaying to a cadence, complacent in no location. Locomotion, they just don't stop moving, casting spells with no magic. It gets tragic, but it happens. When they hit the ground, they're swept aside, not reassembled. They're not ruined, just in pieces. Blown away in the wind, trying to locate their heart. But someone took it, skipped it, crossed the river, now it's someone else's stepping stone. Hands cradling their head, that's called a handmade halo. Nothing man-made is perfect. I guess perfection ain't perfect because that's a man-made idea. It's ideal. It's worshiped like an idol, and we're falling to our knees praying for a blessing, but I don't know if you can bless sin. Autumn angels plummet, taking a plunge into the recesses of reality. I ain't been dreaming, so pinching myself won't help escape these demons. Feathers like blossoms on an old weeping willow, beautiful and rooted to the position. Wind is whipping, wounds are open, only stitch I have is in my side from running from the pain inside. Running to the hanging tree, it's peaceful there, don't you agree? No haunted dreams to choke my sleep. They tumble and tremble, souls rumble and ripple. They float on their feathers to keep it together. Autumn angels falling, attending the same procession, professing all their confessions. Autumn angels falling, attending the same procession, professing all their confessions. Thank you.